All right.
Hello, Mooncrafters. Welcome. This is Craft of Moon, and today I am excited to be talking with my friend Lori. She is running the Asteroid SIRG with NCGR under the guidance of Demetra George. Lori has been super into asteroids for a long time now. I met Lori a few years ago at NORWAC, and we've stayed in touch since then, and we like to reconnect when we go back there. Lori has been working on a book project for a few years, and she's getting very close. She might mention a little bit about that. And she has a consulting practice. So, after listening to Lori, if you'd like to connect with her and see what she has to say about your birth chart, you can certainly do that. We're going to be putting all of Lori's links in the description below for everything that she would like you to be aware of and connect with. She is a published author, and her work is on Amazon. And the title of that is Breadcrumbs from the Universe, spelled with a Y, Y-O-U. So it's all about the universe. Lori has traveled extensively to sacred sites in Greece, Italy, England to do research for her book. She's got a Substack under her own name, so you can find her there. She's got a
Mhm.
podcast that she's been publishing, and you can get the video version of that on YouTube, the audio, wherever you get your podcasts. So Lori's been doing a lot of great work. She's a delight, and we're here specifically to discuss a workshop that she is going to be giving in December. It's going to be 3 weeks long. It'll be on Tuesday evenings in December, and it'll be from 7 p.m. Eastern Time until the wee hours of the morning or whenever they decide to stop talking.
Yes,
Um,
8 hour shot.
yeah, so Lori, go ahead and tell us about your workshop. Tell us about you. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. Um, for the past 5 years, I've been really deep in asteroid world and looking for synchronicity. That is basically what my first book is about. It's how to use tarot and astrology to follow the breadcrumbs of what the universe is trying to tell you or where you should be, basically. And asteroids are a huge way that I've found crazy stories and synchronicities. And I've been using them for years. And this book actually kind of started out as my own little resource. I've been studying under Demetra for years now, and I typically do a focus on like timing techniques and Hellenistic astrology, but there's something about the archetypal influence that you get from asteroids that I just feel like you can't quite get from the planets sometimes. And not always, but especially for women, it didn't fully sit right with me that the moon and Venus are really our only two archetypes, and it's the lover and the mother.
Right.
And I just felt like there should be more.
Totally.
And then I discovered, right, and then I discovered the main four goddesses and Demetra's book, and it just kind of opened me up. And I love the way that Demetra basically jokes or argues that they should be considered planets. They
Mm,
are the sisters of the brothers who have planets, right?
mm,
And so I kind of started using them that way. And I have three out of the four of them fairly prominent. One's on my ascendant, close to my ascendant, one's on my descendant, and then Pallas is on my sun by 2 degrees. And so I've always really felt drawn to the feminine energies. And so beyond that, when I started looking for other stories, I just started creating myself a list of everybody I could find, and it became kind of a bit of an obsession. My Aquarius stellium needs to find everything. So my eighth house
totally.
Aquarius. Yep. So how that manifested was I basically started going to half price books and buying a million myth books and of every culture, every pantheon. And I started going through them and writing down every single character I found that had an asteroid. And I was checking, I was physically like looking each one up and doing all this research to try to find anybody and everybody. And I started making myself a ton of notes. And then I turned around after like 2 or 3 years of this and was like, I just have hundreds of pages worth of bullet points of notes of like all these asteroids I've found. What if I turn this into a book? Because we don't have a resource. And I feel like the community needs a resource. And this has helped me so much because I was going back to this document for literally everything. Like, why don't we have something like this? And why hasn't somebody done this? Right?
Yeah.
Why don't we? So that kind of started the journey of trying to format it, which I did end up using ChatGPT to help me with formatting because I got so stuck. I was like, this is going to take me. And I was like, help me make this look aesthetic. Here's the bullet points.
Yeah, that's what it's good for.
Yeah, it took me like 100 hours because I had to do each one individually. But it took me 1 week. I spent a lot of time on it that week.
Cool.
And then after that, I have been reading through each one and making sure everything I want said is in there and like really meditating on each one and looking them up and finding them in friends or family's charts and asking people questions and really looking for stories. And what's actually really funny, I was joking with some friends about this, but I feel like I might end up writing another book on the process of writing this book.
Oh, cool.
Because every single day I have the asteroid prominent or by transit or something, and it's getting uncanny. Like it's actually starting to get really weird how I'm discovering things. And then like within that time, it's teaching me something. Or weird coincidences are happening. Like the other day, I was editing Eugenia, and then her stuff got stolen from the Louvre.
Wow. That is wild.
Right. And it was like
you
the
were
next
working
day.
on the asteroid Eugenia.
Yeah.
And then her stuff got stolen from the Louvre.
Yeah.
That's too wild.
Right. That was the Louvre heist. And the Louvre has an asteroid too. So I ended up like going down a rabbit hole with that. And it just, things like that keep happening almost every single day where it's just like, this can't be coincidence. Why does this keep happening?
Yeah. Would you say like the synchronicities like you're describing, would you say that synchronicity seems to be higher in your use of asteroids than with planets? Or, like what's your view on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when I do astrology readings for people, I actually tend to focus more on timing techniques. I do a lot of the like math and stuff. So I really am not much of an archetypal or psychological astrologer at all. But then with the asteroids, it's like that's how I've found my creative space with astrology. Like I really like the duality of both, but it kind of separates it for me. And
the right left brain kind of working together in some way. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love the idea of interpretation. Like, here's a story. How do you think this would show up in somebody's life or somebody's chart? And sometimes they're so insane. Like my this one was actually crazy. I have so many stories, but I'll share one or two.
Yeah.
I was just at Jason Hawley's Living Astrologies conference, and I was talking to a friend, and she was talking about how she just turned 41. And on my flight there, I was editing Asteroid Elatus. And he is a centaur, but he's actually the centaur that got shot, but it went through his elbow and hit Chiron's foot.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if you could like read this with Chiron. Like, here's
Yeah.
the thing that in interpretation, like here's this asteroid that maybe could represent what meant to get shot or what meant to take the
Or
load, but
like even like going through his elbow prevented Chiron from getting shot in a place that might have like in his heart or something like that. It would have been much worse,
right,
right?
it's even worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like in a way a protector of
Mhm.
things, but a protector in a way that still leads to a deep wounding that
Right.
needs to be dealt with.
Right. And what I found super interesting is I've been putting an astronomy table on each character as well.
Hmm.
And I found that the orbital period of Elatus is 41 years, and Chiron's is about 52.
Right.
And so I was like, that's also interesting that you have your Elatus return, like not right before, but like 10 years before your Chiron return.
Yeah.
And and then I was talking to a good friend of mine who was turning 41, and I was like, "Oh, do you relate to Elatus?" Like I just started asking her questions about this because it was just fresh on my mind. She gives me this crazy look and she goes, "I was shot in a drive-by through the elbow."
Wow.
They meant to shoot somebody else and it went through her elbow.
Oh my gosh.
She like
That's
and
like,
she's told me this story before, I just forgot.
yeah.
And
It's like one of those things where you're like, what do they call it? Astrology good, but it's like it's really terrible that she got shot, right? You know how
For
wild.
sure. Yeah, and so she shows me her scar. We start talking about it, and we ended up looking it up in her chart.
Hmm.
And we looked up the transit chart and everything, and it turned out she actually had Elatus pretty close to her Saturn, which is in her first house. And
Mm.
it was transiting Venus in her 12th, like right when
Wow.
she got shot. And like just the whole thing was insane. And I just feel like these stories are so literal
Right.
sometimes, like just so we miss things like this, but there's so many of these stories that we're acting out all
Right.
the time
Like
and can show
I remember when we first met and you were like telling me all about these synchronicities, right? And we were sitting in the lobby there in Washington, right, for Norwalk. And you're like, "Oh, everybody's got an asteroid. Let's look up yours." And so we looked up the asteroid Ryan, remember?
yeah,
And it was right on my midheaven.
yeah. And you were having your Ryan return. I
I was
remember
having my
that.
Ryan return.
It's so perfect.
It's wild, right?
Crazy, right? And I've gone through so many crazy rabbit holes and I've been writing the stories. The book was going to have personal stories
Hmm.
in it, but it's already like it's a giant encyclopedia at this point. It's probably going to be 2,000 pages as is. So I did have to make the decision to cut the stories out. But for now, I'm posting them on Substack, and I will probably create a second book that can be a little bit more creative freedom-y,
Cool.
that, I can kind of do whatever I want. Um, and continue to share these stories and continue to show how these asteroids show up so strong and prominent in everybody.
Yeah,
And they continue to blow my mind like every single day.
totally.
Yeah.
Um, is the book going to be like more of like a reference book for people to go up and look information, or is it more narrative where they're learning things? Like, what's the structure?
So, yeah, yeah. So I have gone back and forth on this a million times, but what I ended up deciding on is that it's going to fully be an academic research book
Cool.
basically.
Hmm.
Um, that's why I ended up taking out the stories because I
Hmm.
felt like that was kind of blurring the line.
Got it.
Um, so the structure is it has their name, they're all in alphabetical order. It has their name, their asteroid number, and then their pantheon, and then just like a few words about them, like
Mm-hmm.
who they are, kind of.
Hmm.
And then I've been putting an affirmation, still need to workshop those, but then there's an affirmation.
Okay.
And then I'm doing a quick retelling of the story that's like between 2 and 4 paragraphs long. And then I'm doing a section on lessons, like what can you learn from this character?
Mm-hmm.
And then interpretation, so like a quick paragraph of how you could interpret it in your chart, maybe careers you might have if you have him prominent, or like what might show up or happen to you if you have her prominent, like things like that. And then a cautionary note. So then I'm putting the negative manifestation of each one and how like they can show up really dangerous or really detrimental or really bad or what, you know, because some of them like are not the most positive stories.
Right.
And so I'm trying to be really open about like, hey, here's the good and here's the bad. But then with the cautionary note, I've ended each one with when it's integrated, here's how like you can get out of that. So I'm trying to keep it more positive. And then I'm doing an astronomy note. So it's basically just a little chart for each one. It has their number again, their name, and then I'm putting the date that it was discovered, who it was discovered by, the classification, the size and all of that. All those numbers are in there. Its orbital period, because that's super important to know. Then I've been putting the sign that it was in when it was discovered, which I think is really interesting. And then I've been putting just like some fun facts about it. So some of them have just like really insane stories about how they were found or how they were named, or like some are like huge, or some also have a moon with its name, or like some are binary systems, some Jupiter Trojans, and they share an orbit, you know, like, so I've been just any fun facts that I find about the asteroid, I've been reading about each one on NASA's website.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's so cool. I feel like it adds so much depth to, you know, like understanding the astronomy. Like it's like the planets, right? Like knowing those things can really help you. So I've been putting a whole chart of that at the end of each one too.
Wow.
So it's going to be a full reference book of like, hey, I have this character, like I have Persephone conjunct my sun. You can look up Persephone. And it also has, if they have other names, I've been putting that too. So like, it'll say asteroid Persephone and asteroid Proserpina. But then if you go to Proserpina, it just says, look at Persephone. I'm not going to retell this, but here's the.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that's a phenomenal amount of work. How many asteroids are you going to be including in it?
So actually, there's like no way to count them unless I count them by hand. So I actually don't know.
You don't know yet. Okay.
I don't know yet. It's kind of funny, but
that'll be like the final project, counting how many you've got.
I know. I like wish there was an easier way to know, because how they're set up in the book, I have them all like on the corner, like set as a heading, I guess.
Okay.
But it doesn't tell you how many there are. But I would guess there's probably about 600 or more.
Whoa. Okay.
At least. I'm trying to include all of the.
Yeah, somebody could find a connection somewhere in their chart, like for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. There is something for everybody in there. And yeah, I mean, there's just so many of them. And then at the end, I was going to do a chart of like, here's all these musicians, here's all these like words, or like academics, colleges, or like, you know, I'm going to try to chart all of those too at the very end.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah. So tell us about this workshop that you're doing. Give us some of the background for the December workshop.
Absolutely. So basically, I've taught a million classes in person, but I've never really moved to the online world. But I've been starting to be really open about my process with this book, and like how I like really want to start showing people how to work with asteroids more. And the system that I've created when I do readings for people, asteroid readings, is I've been making them a full PDF of all 30,000 of their asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been like sending it to them. But then right before the reading, I've been going through and looking at everything that's within 3 to 5 degrees of their sun, moon, ascendant. And sometimes angles, but usually like if they're new to this, the sun, moon, and ascendant, there's more than enough.
Totally.
And yeah, at least for like the first reading. And so I've been pulling all of those out and creating a list, and then I'm looking for patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So like a reading I recently had, this was crazy. She had Horus, Set, Osiris, and Isis, all like on her sun, moon, ascendant.
Wow.
And yeah, and so
That's wild.
I've done so wild, and I've done a lot of work with Set and Osiris, or Set and Horus specifically. I've written multiple articles and like done multiple podcast episodes on them because I went down crazy rabbit holes with how they can manifest. And so I asked her about it, and it turned out that Hamlet is actually her favorite book, and that's based off of that story, that myth.
Oh, wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so is The Lion King, actually.
Really?
So, yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, super cool. So I started telling her about that, and she just laughed, and she's like, that's been my favorite book since high school. And I was like, do you happen to remember when you read it? And she's like, weirdly enough, yes. Like I remember the exact date that I picked it up, and like, or like not the exact date, but like the month that they had to read it for school or whatever.
Yeah.
And we looked, and Horus and Set were exactly opposite each other on her ascendant descendant axis, like by like a degree or two or something crazy. And
Wild.
yeah, and we just went down such a rabbit hole with that. And so just like finding stories like that is what I've been doing with clients, and creating them lists. And, you know, it's like, oh, you have like 6 dream weavers really prominent. Do you work with dreams? Or, hey, you have like 10 herbalists here. Like, do you work with herbs, or do you like tea, or whatever, you know? And typically if you have a bunch that really like feel the same or feel super similar, then it's probably a theme in your life. And so we can at least start there, right?
Yeah.
Like, here are these characters that are showing up. Do you want to talk about this theme? And then if they mention something that seems oddly specific to one of them, then we'll like dive into that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my workshop, that's kind of what I wanted to do, but in a bigger setting. So I am going to like talk about how to know what's prominent, but I'm going to make that list for everybody who signs up.
Really?
So I'm going to give them the whole like 30,000 asteroid document, but I also am going to go through and at least to like pull a couple of the major ones. I might not spend too much time on it.
Yeah.
But
they'll come out of the workshop with a list of at least a few asteroids that have significant impact with their sun, moon, rising degrees.
For sure. Yeah.
Wow.
And
awesome.
I really think that storytelling is the way to understand asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to deeply encourage this to be conversational, and I would love for everybody to have a chance to share a story, whether it's a big story or just like I've noticed this, or like weird coincidences, weird
and I can say from my experience talking with you and whatever asteroid connections I've made, you have to be kind of ready for the unexpected, because where you find those synchronicities are going to be somewhat shocking and stunning. You're going to be like, whoa, wait a second, what is that? And they can really uncover a lot of stuff for you to material, like deep material for you to work through.
Right. And you just have to pay attention to like weird little things that happen. Like one of my favorite asteroid stories ever. My cousin lives in Las Vegas and has a pomegranate tree in her yard. Mm-hmm. And she knows that pomegranates are my favorite fruit.
Mm.
I grew up with my mom giving me pomegranates all the
Mm-hmm.
time, which is funny because I do have Persephone and Proserpina both really prominent
Oh,
in my.
that's awesome.
I was like, yeah, right. So I was like, of course, that makes sense.
Right.
Um, but she randomly mailed me a box of pomegranates about a year ago.
Okay.
And without telling me anything, she just mailed me a box of pomegranates and then wrote me a little note that was just like, we had so many this year, like, just thought I would send you some from our garden or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And it was right after Pluto had moved into Aquarius,
Uh-huh.
and I have Persephone at 1 degree Aquarius. And
Wow.
it was when Pluto was at 1 degree. So I looked and Pluto was about 2 minutes away from my Persephone asteroid on the
Oh
day
my
that she mailed
gosh.
me a box of pomegranate. It
That's so wild.
was so weird. And
So, I mean, that is really wild. But I also want to recognize that some of the viewers on this might not make the connection between Pluto. But so tell us a little bit about that story and why that's connecting to
yeah,
pomegranates and to you. Yeah.
yeah, fair, fair. Yeah, so Persephone is the daughter of Demeter. And she goes into the underworld and eats the pomegranate seeds, so she ends up staying with Hades or Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, what was also funny is the Persephone asteroid was conjunct my Ceres, which
Mm.
is Demeter when
Mm-hmm.
this happened too. So I had like both of them being kind of lit up, and that whole story was just like um, really prominent in my life for the whole past couple years for a lot of reasons. But that one was just
And
one of those.
Demeter's influential in getting Persephone to come back to the overworld, right? So she doesn't have to stay there forever at the end of it, right?
Yeah, she eats 6 seeds, so she ended up having to spend 6 months in the underworld
Okay.
and 6 months in the upper world every year.
Uh-huh.
And so because of that, that's why we have winter,
Yeah.
because Demeter or Ceres, the asteroid,
Yeah.
is considered the like seasonal planet, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
goddess of agriculture and herbs and whatnot.
Right. Have you seen the musical Hades Town?
No, but I just saw Mythic. I think is similar. Yeah.
Okay. I just saw Hades Town. I think it was a few months ago or last year. It was on at our
Yeah.
high school's theater. Did it? It was a pretty good
Yeah.
production. Yeah.
I hear really good things about it.
Yeah, it is good. That's
Yeah.
wild. So you got this box of pomegranates right as
Yeah.
Pluto is. That's insane.
It's insane. And I think just because I like am so deep in this work now, I find these stories every single day.
Hmm.
But it's really crazy. Like, I just feel like anytime anything is happening to me, I've been checking where is this asteroid by transit? Where's this whatever's happening? And it just always seems to show up really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why more people don't use asteroids is truly because we don't have resources.
Yeah.
And so I think like with, I'm hoping that once this book gets finished and released, then people are going to feel like it's going to be more accessible to them,
Yeah.
and it's going to be easier to find them and find the stories they connect with. And
What made me think right there was like, in a way, the connection to and the way that we can use asteroids. This is going to be a little bit wild. It seems kind of like pulling an oracle card from an oracle deck, tarot or a
right.
goddess deck or something, right? And then
Mhm.
reading in the book what that card talks about, right? So it's like in some way you can kind of like spin the wheel of fortune, see what asteroid pops out for you, and then go to your book and
Right.
read about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny you say that because I originally wanted to create an oracle deck of
Oh
every
wow.
asteroid to go with the book.
Huge.
Yeah, that's why I decided not to. But
Yeah.
that actually was my original intent. I
Oh,
wanted to
cool.
create like a deck to go
Yeah.
with it because I've also read tarot for most of my life, and I am a deck collector, so I have like hundreds of decks here.
Wow.
Um, and so I've always kind of wanted to create one, and I thought, oh, how cool would this be to create a deck that also has the asteroid number correspondence, and you could like pull a card every day and be like, oh, what, like, where do I have this one, or where's this one by transit or whatever. Um, but then I was like, that this book is taking long enough as is. Like, could you imagine trying to create the art for like 700 deities? Oh, like,
Right.
no.
That would be
So
intense. Yeah.
yeah, but maybe in a million years when I feel ready to take on another huge project, I would love to do so.
Right.
I think that could be so cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Lori, this has been so good to chat with you and to connect about some of your projects. Hopefully, everybody, you got a good sense of Lori, and really encourage you to find all of her socials in the description, and really go for this workshop if you're interested in finding out how asteroids impact your own chart. So, Lori, thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining me. It's been wonderful to connect.
absolutely. Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.